When a bhikkhu is not intent on development, even though he forms the wish, may my mind be liberated from the taints by non-clinging, yet his mind is not liberated from the taints by non-clinging. For what reason? Because he lacks development. Lacks development of what? Of the 4 establishments of mindfulness, the 4 right strivings, the 4 bases for psychic potency, the 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, the Noble Eightfold Path. So, in just this one stanza, the Buddha made the point that you can make all the aspirations you want. When you say, may my mind be liberated from the taints of not clinging, what it means by this statement is, may I be able to realize Nibbana. That's what it means. The taints of not clinging implies I want to see Dhamma. I want to taste liberation. I want to see Nibbana. And he's saying, if you have not developed the 37 factors of enlightenment, there's no way you can see Nibbana. This is effectively what he said. If you cannot develop the 37 factors of enlightenment, there's no way you can see it. Then he used this wonderful analogy, which I really love. It's the chicken, the hen, he says. You have a hen. She has got some eggs. But she had not properly covered, incubated, nurtured. Even though she may form the wish, may my chicks pierce the shells with the points of their claws or beaks and hatch safely. Yet the chicks are incapable of doing it. For what reason? Because the hen had not properly covered, incubated and nurtured her eggs. They also know about chicken and hen and eggs. But the point here is this. This is a natural process. Did you see the power of the analogy? This is a natural process. The conditions are not right. It takes time. The conditions have to be just right. And the moment the conditions are just right, you don't have to do anything. It will happen. No, imagine this. Just think of this analogy that he used. I always said, right, you always look out for the Buddha's analogy because the analogy will give you the precise idea what it means. And you have to study the analogy carefully. He didn't pick an organic process by chance. He picked it because to him this is most reflective of the event, of the development. And he's saying that this is effectively an organic process. It will take place by itself. You give it the correct conditions, you give it time, you don't even have to make a will. You don't even have to make a determination. May I realize? You prepare the conditions correct, your mind will get it. That's effectively what he's saying. You prepare the conditions correctly, the eggs will be hatched properly. The hen doesn't have to go there and say, may you be well and happy. Will you hatch properly, safely? They have to do that, right? So, if you read on, when a bhikkhu is intent on development, even though he doesn't form the wish, may my mind be liberated from the taints of not clinging, yet his mind is liberated from the taints by not clinging. No need to make the will, it will happen. Then you go down, further down, and you see this stanza, now this one. When bhikkhus, the second last one, when bhikkhus, a carpenter, or a carpenter's apprentice sees the impression of his fingers and his thumb on the handle, I have no idea how to pronounce this word, of his what? Is. I have no idea what that is. Let's just call it X. He does not know. He does not know. I have worn away so much of... I think it's an X lah. I think it's an X. This is just poor spelling. He does not know I have worn away so much of the X handle today. So much yesterday. So much earlier. But when it has worn away, he knows that it has worn away. So too, when a bhikkhu is intent on development, even though he does not know, I have worn away so much of the taints today, so much yesterday, so much earlier, yet when they are worn away, he knows they are worn away. What does this short stanza tell you? When you are walking the path, as your mind is developing, point to point to point, you're actually not aware of how it is growing. You can't say, I've done this, check. I've done this, check. I've achieved this, check. You actually don't. But after you have walked a certain distance and your mind has started developing, you look back and you realize you have come so far. The point that I have been telling you guys again and again, you may not know. It is not obvious point to point to point. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, it is not obvious. But if you had developed the mind, one day you will look back and say, I have come so far. So this is exactly what the Buddha is saying, except that he's using a beautiful analogy. You use it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you don't realize how much it has changed. But when you see the print there, you realize you have changed. Likewise, this one I really like. You have a ship bound together by lashings that had been worn away in waters for 6 months. It would be hauled up on dry land during the cold season. Lashing would be further attacked by the wind and sun. Inundated by rain from a rain cloud, the lashings would eventually deteriorate and rot away. So too, when a bhikkhu is intent on development, his fetters readily collapse and rot away. Here you have condition, nature, and eventually nature takes over. So, what happened when your mind, when the 37 factors of enlightenment have been developed in the mind? Two things will begin to become obvious. When the 37 factors of enlightenment are developed properly in the mind, two things become obvious. The first thing is that your mind starts to settle into a state of quiet. When the mind is in a state of quiet, I told you once before, way back many months ago, or a few months ago, I said, when you start to develop the 37 factors of enlightenment, the mind settles into a certain state. You begin to recognize it. You begin to recognize that mind. In that state, that's the only state that is capable of seeing Dhamma, if you recall that. So one of the things that will happen if you develop the 37 factors of enlightenment is that the mind is beginning to be able to see Dhamma. The second state that will happen to you is this analogy. The factors, the instincts start to be worn away. You see, we have strong negativities. You see something you like, very instinctively you will crave for it. Very instinctively you delight in it and you want it. Very instinctive. No need to do anything. You stare at something you like, automatically your heart say, I like, I want. Hiya, I'm not supposed to eat leh, but never mind lor. This is very instinctive, yeah? You see someone you don't like, also very instinctively, you can't stand the face. I want to go and do something, or now I got to control my anger. I'm a Buddhist, I must control my anger. You know, you do, this is a very, very instinctive thing. Very instinctive. But as you start to develop the factors of enlightenment, when you start to develop this thing, your mind will start to change. These habits will start to be reduced. If you find yourself unable to reduce your bad habits, Even though you are saying, I am developing the 37 factors, I quite developed 37 factors. But after you try, and you are not actually getting better, that nothing is changing in you, that you remain unable to contain your instincts, you develop 37 something, but don't know what lah. Probably not the factors of enlightenment lah. The xiao liao thing, you know. The xiao liao factor, but not the 37 factors of enlightenment. You got to remember that, okay? This is called the spiral, the Dhamma Spiral.
Spiral session.
The Dhamma Spiral, okay? Before I do the Dhamma Spiral, let me show you something. Think of it this way, okay? If you're looking at it from the side, okay? This is the surface of water, if you like lah. So this is your whirlpool that goes down, okay? But if you're looking at it from the top, today is the day I use up papers. Next life be a tree. If you look at it from the top, the reason why I pick the idea of a spiral, like a whirlpool, is because when you start to practice and you start to develop the factors of enlightenment, initially, there is a start point. Okay, there's always a start point. But once you go into a start point, and as you go into it, and you start to develop them step by step, you will find at some point that the speed at which you start to practice will increase. If you're doing it right, okay? If you're doing it wrong, then you will kind of spiral off lah. You don't go in, but you and then you fly off somewhere. You are the droplets that got away. But if you get it right? You get it right, think of it like, then you will start to twirl faster and faster, and you go right into, away, direct towards Dhamma. If you get it right, okay? Now, I said that it's always a start point. And the start point in this game, is right view. Okay? But the right view comes after you had spent just a little bit of time reflecting on how your life and what the Dhamma taught, the Buddha taught about Dhamma, how there is an alignment. That there is this alignment. And what is this alignment? This alignment is the very simple one I keep saying. When you crave, you feel stress. If you want something, however minor is that one thing, there will be an element of dissatisfaction. It's very simple, but so true and so obvious. You have to be there not to see it. It's so obvious. Every time you want something, there is an element of stress. Yes?
Yes.
And it's a truism. The problem is we look at it and say, yeah. Then we're not very impressed. But what we don't realize is that sums up your unhappiness or anybody's unhappiness. That one line sums up anybody's unhappiness. Every time you are unhappy, every time you're upset, every time something bothers you, right? Every time, you just ask yourself, what is it you want? Don't ask yourself, what is it you don't want? Always ask yourself, what is it you want? Because it is in the one that you find the way out. It is always in the one that you find the way out. Because you see what you want, and you ask yourself, really, do you need it? If okay lah, yeah, never mind, I don't need it. Straight away, the way is out. So the very first point is panya, and I call it mundane panya. And this mundane panya has to do with a very basic, simple understanding of the correlation between dukkha and craving. A very simplistic understanding of the correlation. And at this point of the mundane panya, some of you may already say, yeah, moment to moment, it comes and go. Some of you may even say that. Very, very mundane, very gross. Some of you may even say that, yeah. I can see my feeling comes and go. There is no arising and disappearance yet. At this point, it's just, I can see my feeling comes and go. I can see this comes and go. So it's very impermanent, okay? When you experience this moment of clarity, when you experience just this moment of clarity, what happens? It may dawn on you, I have faith now. Yes? Saddha. Buddha was right. He made a lot of sense. I understand what he's saying. I like what I'm hearing. Let's go for the full works. Because you compared your life experience to what he said about Dhamma, you got the right Dhamma. First, you must get the right Dhamma. That's the right Dhamma. Dukkha and the way out is the right Dhamma. Okay? Because you can see the correlation and you understand what it means, you say, okay, I understand what he stands for. I know what he taught. I look at his way of life. I look at the way he led his life. I'm inspired by what he's doing. I understand that. I develop saddha. But this is the saddha of a new Buddhist. This is not a practitioner saddha. Way back when we started this course, I mentioned about the different types of saddha. So this is the first type. Okay? Basic understanding, having basic faith. Faith in the Triple Gem. Buddha taught something he saw for himself. I believe him because I can see the relevance. I think I'll check out his teaching. Okay? When you have understanding, simple one, when you have faith, then only this one makes sense. Do good, do no evil. Sila. Only then would this make sense. If you don't have this, and if you don't have this, this is artificial. This is also artificial. Because all you have is, oh, don't kill. And then you get obsessed about vegetarianism. Because all you know is, don't kill, don't kill. But you have no idea why you don't kill. Why is it wrong to smack a mosquito? Not wrong lah. Why is it you avoid doing it? You abstain from doing it. And you don't get obsessed about the letter. You understand the essence, the meaning, the principle. And that understanding of the principle comes about only when you know what this path is about. Because of that, you believe in what he's teaching and you want to continue from there. And so he tells you, do good, do no evil, avoid doing all these things. Learn to restrain the negative instincts in your mind. Learn to give, learn to share, learn to open. All the goods come out. Do all the 10 meritorious deeds. Then it all starts to make sense, you see. Buddha said so. Buddha is teaching this method. This method requires me to let go, requires me to hold on to my negative instinct, tame them, requires me to open my heart and give. I will do it. This now becomes real. Until this comes along, this is artificial. You understand that? So do good, do no evil makes sense. And because you start to understand why you need to observe morality, your mind starts to become more quiet. Observing morality becomes a way of life. Something good to do. Buddha said so. He also said, I need to practice the path. I recognize that. I start to let go of those negativities. I am able to practice. So the next one that starts to become obvious, I am not even using the bigger word. I'm using bhavana only. I'm using the word bhavana. I'm not even using sati and samadhi yet. Bhavana, if you remember the 10 meritorious deeds, right? Dana, giving, sila, morality. The third one is bhavana. Basically what it means is, I am learning to be introspective. I'm learning to become more contemplative. I'm learning to start to be aware of the mind. I am sitting back and once in a while look at this mind and begin to understand that this practice is about looking inwards. I'm taking you guys through step by step. All the way up to this point, it is still mundane. But there is a reason for this development like that. Because I have a basic worldview, I have faith. Because I have faith, I will do what he asked me to do. And I also understand that doing this is necessary for me to see more of Dhamma. And I also understand that to be able to see Dhamma, I need to become more introspective. I need to look inwards. I need to understand my mind. I understand that. And because, and for you to be able to, by the way, for you to be able to link, there is a little P here, okay? Yes. Can you see the panya leading all the way? There has to be a panya that explains why there is a connection. There's a little panya that explains why sila, why you must do sila, why you must do bhavana. Now, you may well be very clever, all together. It doesn't mean you have to develop like that. But it means you can actually say, oh, I'm going to do sila, I'm doing bhavana at the same time. You can be like that. But there is a certain development. The point here is there is a gradual development, okay? When you start to look inwards.
Sorry, can I switch the places? Can I switch sila with sadha?
You can park it with this next to it. The sila per se doesn't lead to saddha. It's a leading process. You can have panya that leads to sila, but the sila does not lead to saddha. But saddha will lead to sila. You can put it here, but it will be panya and sila lah. That's okay, okay? But sila, that the fact that you are a good person doesn't make you a Buddhist. Yeah. But if you are a Buddhist and a practicing Buddhist, you will observe your precepts. That's how it links, okay? And if you start to become more aware of the negativities in your mind, because you're becoming more introspective, right? You're starting to become more introspective. What will happen is you will now have the real right understanding. You have a deepening understanding. Panya will grow. In other words, now we are beginning to see panya growing, okay? And with this kind of understanding leads to the practitioner saddha. This is a practitioner. Because now you're starting to look at, you are actively, practitioner saddha, you're looking actively at what's happening in your mind, what's Buddha talking about, how do you correlate the two, okay? And this bhavana, during this period, there will also be your attempt at meditation. Attempt. not the real sati. Yes, you're practicing your sati. Yes, you're practicing your samadhi. Yes, this thing must start. But you don't have them as a factor of enlightenment yet. You are only starting out. They are not strong enough. But these must start before your understanding of the Dhamma deepens. If you don't start on starting to watch your mind, starting to understand how the mind works, you don't start here, there is no way you can really understand how the mind works. And when you begin to get little understanding, little understanding, you see your mind comes, your emotions, they come and they go, you have sensations that come and go and so on and so forth. You start to see these things, it deepens. A deepening understanding, every time that your understanding of the mind deepens, every time it deepens, your faith in the teaching deepens. You understand? Every time you develop a deeper appreciation of how the mind works, every time you see anicca, impermanence, every time you see how emotions come and go, fade away, they arise, they fade away. Every time you see that, you say, Buddha's correct. Buddha's correct. After a while, Buddha's correct lah. You will get very impressed. When this saddha arises, for some of you, this is where the journey really begins. Up until here, anyone can go through it. But for some of you, this is where the journey starts. The real Dhamma journey begin. Because this is where you say that I'm beginning to see the mind. I'm beginning to understand how it works. I'm beginning to see that there is a way out. Up until here, you're not sure whether you know what is the way out. But there will be a point when it becomes obvious to you there is a way out. There is way out of what? Way out of dukkha. We spend a lot of our time struggling with our feelings, how tiring it is to live life. We spend a lot of time literally struggling against doing evil and trying to do good. That's not easy, yeah? Struggling against evil, giving in to our negative instincts and trying to do good and flagellating yourself at the same time while you're at it. Why do we spend so much time struggling? Because we actually have not truly understand how the mind works, so we don't know how to ride the mind. If you know how the mind works, you ride the mind. Like surfing waves. If you know how the waves work, technically, you can surf it. You can ride it. But a lot of us go through life struggling against the wave, trying to survive, trying to overcome our anger, overcome our unhappiness, but actually don't know how we got in and out. We don't know how we got in, or sometimes we know how we got in, but we don't know how to get out. Okay? So we get sucked in. Whereas if you start to look at the mind, and you really start to look at the Dhamma, at some point you begin to see how it works. And you will. And when you start to see how the mind works, this is when you tell yourself, hey, I think I know how to crack this code. I may not know it yet, but I can see that there is a way to crack the mind code. And the way he laid down must be the way. This is where it starts. This is where your real Dhamma journey begins. Up until here, you are likely to be meander. Sometimes you pray, sometimes you meditate, sometimes you just do no evil, and you have no idea how to move on from there. Sometimes this, sometimes that. Okay? Okay, now, when you have an understanding, the right understanding, that underpins your faith, this is when you have chanda. This is where you have that, I must see the Dhamma. Your faith is there, your understanding is already there, not complete, but it's starting. This is where you say, I want to see Dhamma. Okay? And because there is understanding, because there's desire, because you have a lot of faith, what's the real thing that pops up now? Exactly. You see, she's beginning to understand it. The next one that comes out is virya. When you understand what you're doing, when you say, I need to practice, the next thing you will say is, I've got to keep my mental space clean. I'm beginning to see why I have to keep the mental space clean. And with virya, then comes the real thing. Okay? Sati first. Sati first. Then samadhi. Why must it be sati first and then samadhi? Sati makes sure that you stay on track with Dhamma. Sati is the one, you must have samma sati, the real, good, correct, perfect sati. Because sati, if you do it correctly, you're looking at the right thing. You're looking at the nature of your physical form. It comes and it goes. You're looking at the nature of feelings, come and go. You're looking at your state of mind, coming and going. You're seeing Dhamma again and again. So when you sit and you do your samadhi, when you do the meditation, you want to focus the mind, the one thing you won't do, if you don't have sati to start off with the wisdom, samadhi, you can end up wanting to develop all kinds of skills, mental skills, that may take you off the path. If you put these two together, this one mindful of Dhamma, the other one learn to focus the mind on the right thing. Okay? Sati, always mindful of the Dhamma, always mindful of the Dhamma. Samadhi, focus on the Dhamma, focus on the Dhamma, focus on your mind, focus on your form, focus on letting go, focus on anicca, dukkha, anatta. Focus, focus, focus. You put these two together, you will have eventually a particular type of panya, which I ran out of space already. Okay, never mind. See? A particular kind which we call Dhamma Vichaya. Your mind quiet enough, the mind is quiet enough, the mind is light enough, clear, objective, the mind is ready to look at Dhamma. Okay? And not finished yet. All this while, you're twirling and twirling and twirling. Now I got three for you. Panya, Sila, or Virya lah. Got Virya. Panya, Virya, and Samadhi. Panya, P. Virya, your Sila, and Samadhi. They twirl around. They keep twirling around. This twirling is necessary. You see, if your thing is so big, you have plenty of space. The twirling is necessary as you keep examining the nature of the mind, as you keep examining the nature of how these things works. You will start to eventually end up with, okay, over here, we will PTO. Ayah. Jnanadasana. To see as it is, knowledge and to see as it is. Jnana is knowledge, dasana to see as it is. In the process of looking at the mind, keeping the mental space clean, the mind is clear enough, you see the nature of how it works, you begin to see very clearly what arises must disappear. what comes up will fade away. Again and again and again, you keep seeing it. It's a repetitive pattern. Again and again. And when you keep seeing this again and again, you gain the knowledge that it is indeed, this is how your mind works. And because you keep seeing it again and again, it's a form of vision. It's a mental vision. You see it come and you see it go. You see it come, then you gain the knowledge. This is how it is. It comes and it goes. And you keep reinforcing this. And in the process of seeing and understanding, you also begin to see, for those of you who have developed a deeper understanding of Dhamma already, just from these few months of studying, you have already developed a deeper understanding of Dhamma, surely you are beginning to also see what I call path and non-path. Meaning, in you, there is already a growing realization what is the Buddha's Dhamma and what is not Dhamma. You will know it. Having that knowledge, having the knowledge of what is Buddha's Dhamma and what is not Dhamma, that knowledge in itself is a measure of development, of your own spiritual growth. Otherwise, you can't tell. So, you take stock, you sit here, you look back. When you first came, anything is possible. Anything could be Dhamma. As long as Buddha put the word there, Buddha must be Buddha. When you started out. As you start to understand his methodology, you start to understand his teaching, at some point there was a switch in your mind. And when the switch came at that point for you, okay, this is Buddha's Dhamma, that's not Dhamma. And how did that happen? For you, how did that moment, that period, that change take place? It has to do, it better has to do, with yourself actually having observed your own mind. Observe the nature of your mind. Realizing that how he described your mind, was truly how it felt to you. That was how it felt. So, bottom line, Dhamma has to be experienced. Everything he said has to be experienced, seen for yourself. Hence the expression, to be seen by the wise for himself. And when you see and you understand, you are called the wise. If you see, then don't understand, you're not the wise. Don't know what you saw. And it will spiral on. Jnana Dasana, path, not path, it will spiral on, and this is where your Nibbana is. It's in there. Okay? This will just spiral until you get into Nibbana. This is how your mind works. This is essentially how the mind works. So the 37 factors of enlightenment, what you need to understand is they work in, not all 37 must appear, but you can see how they work. There are actually 3 key elements. All of them boils down to 3 core elements. They are exactly Panya, Sila, Samadhi. All of them. So there are the ones where Buddha will say, if you have the 5 faculties, anybody who wants to see Nibbana must develop the 5 faculties. What are the 5 faculties? Wisdom. Saddha, faith. Virya. Virya, I've said again and again, it's a sila. It is an effort to keep all the negativities from the mind. Keep the mental space clean. Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Sati, Samadhi is meditation. Panya is wisdom. But in this form, this particular wisdom is wisdom about understanding the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Seeing the Tilakkhana. Seeing Tilakkhana. Okay? And the same thing, this is the 5 faculties. If you talk about the 5 powers, it's the same 5. Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. 7 factors of enlightenment. What are the 7? You all eventually must like, back of the palm, okay? Back of the palm. 7 factors of enlightenment starts off with sati, then Dhamma Vichaya, then Virya, Piti, Pasadi, Samadhi, Upeka. Okay? So if you look at that, right, same thing. Sati, Dhamma Vichaya, Dhamma investigation. That's where your wisdom is. Because there is that clear mindfulness, because you have that clear mindfulness, you can see the way your mind works. Because you can see the way the mind works, the mind settles into observing itself. That's Dhamma Vichaya. When it's observing itself, you will experience this. When it's observing itself, you feel very happy, you feel very energized. Let's clean the mind, you say. Virya comes in. When you can keep the mind clean, when you can keep your mental space clean, you look at your mental space, you're naturally happy, you're naturally calm, you are naturally concentrated. And above all is the upeka one, where you are detached, observing. And this one will spin by itself. The 7 of them spinning by themselves. Because you're very detached. The more detached you are, the sharper you are at observing the mind. The sharper you are at observing the nature of the mind, the better you can see the nature of the mind. Every time you can see the nature of the mind, you're so inspired to keep it clean, because this is how it keeps the mind clear. And you will spin on. This is your 7 factors of enlightenment. I must remind you, you cannot, 37 factors, I pick all the sadda. Sadda here, sadda here, sadda here, sadda here. Then the rest all I don't want. Salah. You want to pick anyone, you must pick them as a whole. The 5 of them. You want 5? 5, all 5. Okay? You want 7? Okay, pick all 7. Suka you, never mind. You want to pick 8? 8-fold path? Pick 8. You can tell me, I only want to pick the 4. The Idipada, the 4. 4 ni ma, 4 easy. I tell you the 4. Chanda, Virya, Chitta, Vimamsa. They are the same. Okay? They are the same. Vimamsa is investigation, analysis. Chitta is watching the nature of the mind. Watching the nature of that. This is where your meditation is, okay? The mind, mindfulness, clarity. What is Virya? Virya is back to the Sila, keeping the mental space clean. Chanda, you want it. The clarity, I am going to do it, but you always do it with concentration and mindfulness. All 3 are there. You may think there's only 4, but all the 3 bulk, the 3 of them, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, they are all there. So Buddha, he didn't change his mind. It's very clear, consistently, these 3 component parts. He can call them different names. He can give them different terms. But the spiral is the same. The Dhamma spiral is the same. Okay? Book of 10. Book of 10, okay? There are only two key stanzas I'm going to work on. I love this one because this summarizes it. You have read it? Bhikkhu, ignorance has a nutrient. What is the nutrient of ignorance? 5 hindrances. What's the nutrient of the 5 hindrances? 3 kinds of misconduct. This is misconduct via the mind, speech, and action. Okay? 3 kinds of misconduct has a nutrient. They are the non-restraint of the sense faculties. The non-restraint of the sense faculties has a nutrient, which is the lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension. This has the nutrient, which is careless attention. Careless attention has a nutrient, which is lack of faith. Lack of faith, nutrient is not hearing the good Dhamma. And not hearing the good Dhamma, why do you end up like that? It's because you'll be associating with the wrong people. Okay? So if you go backward, it all starts off with having the wrong friends. Friends that take you places you shouldn't go. And the result of going to all these strange places is you don't get to hear Dhamma. If you don't hear Dhamma, which is this one, 这个 Dhamma, this particular Dhamma, not hearing the correct Dhamma will lead you to not develop faith. Not develop faith. If you look at it, the faith that you have will tell you that it is necessary for you to watch the mind. Essentially, that's what it means. Here is careless attention. The correct thing to be doing is, if you understand Dhamma, and you understand what the Buddha is saying, at the very start point, you realize that you're supposed to look at your mind. That's the first thing you realize. I have to understand the nature of the mind. That is why you will put careful attention. And when you try to understand the nature of the mind, you realize also that it is necessary to practice keeping the mental space clean. This one jump steps already lah. Keeping the mental space clean, because this one chim one ma. He's talking to bhikkhus. So he jumped a few steps, he came from here, then he goes from there. Whereas for us lay people, we start from here lah, we start from here. Because this one is, as I said, he's talking to bhikkhus. So he jumped the steps. He went straight into, you understand Dhamma, then you will say, I am going to watch the mind. If you start to watch your mind very carefully, the point here he's making is, the moment you start to spend a little bit of effort to watch the nature of the mind, you cannot be so bad. You will start to observe the true nature of the mind. At the start point already, you start to see. Why? Because feeling comes and feeling go. How can you cannot see that? Even the baby can see that. Hey, no cry. No cry. Even the baby can see that. So you can, the person, anybody can see it. It comes and it goes. This coming and going in itself starts as a form of comprehension. Start as a form of understanding. And once you start from here, right, once you start to understand these things, you spin along in a positive way. Okay, I understand. Now I must watch my sense doors. If I don't watch the sense door, there is no way you can watch the arising of delight. There's no way you can learn to let go. Because ultimately, at the end of the journey, it's about letting go. At the end of the journey. So, the next thing I wanted to bring you to is at the bottom there. The analogy is also very beautiful. The analogy is this guy. Okay? This picture that I draw is this analogy. Of course, Buddha more elegant nah. Mine just picture with lots of words. When it is raining and the rain pours down in thick droplets on the mountain top, the water flows down the slope and fills the clefts, gullies, creeks. This becoming full, fill up the pools. These becoming full, fill up the lakes. These becoming full, fill up the streams. This becoming full, fill up the rivers. Eventually, they fill up the ocean. The nutriments, you see. The idea here is, if you provide the correct nutriments, it will be this one. If you provide, fill up the wrong nutriments, you're not coming here, you're going to the gutter. You're not going to the Dhamma whirlpool, you're going to the gutter. Okay? And so, look at the positive one. The positive one. True knowledge and liberation, which is your Nibbana right here. Now I go backward. True knowledge and liberation have a nutriment. What is the nutriment? 7 factors of enlightenment. 7 factors of enlightenment have a nutriment. 4 foundations of mindfulness. And it all goes back to 3 kinds of good conduct: restraint of the sense bases, mindfulness and clear comprehension, careful attention, faith, hearing the good Dhamma, associating with the right people. Okay? Any question? So I don't have to repeat this anymore, right? You all know exactly how it works already, yeah? Whirling, whirling, whirling in a positive way. Okay, spiraling in a correct way. And if you spiral, you see the beautiful part about this, is if it spirals in the correct way, you don't have to worry about spinning off. You will only spin inwards towards the path. Your understanding will spin towards the path. You won't spin away from the path. This knowledge that you have today, that you carry, this knowledge that you carry in your mind today, right? You're not going to forget it, right? Okay, please, don't have to memorize the sequence. You only have to understand how they flow, okay? And once you understand how they flow, you know you will spin towards the Dhamma. It's just spinning. Okay?